We're counting down the top 7 most valuable Washington quarter dollars ever discovered. These seemingly ordinary coins have hidden treasures that collectors go crazy for. From rare mint errors to low mintage surprises, the Washington quarter has a history full of jaw-dropping finds. The most rare and valuable 1979 D-era Washington quarter dollar coins. This includes exciting history, real auction values from $1,000 to over $10,000, and a powerful introduction designed to hook your viewers from the very beginning. You've seen thousands of Washington quarters, but one from 1979 with a tiny mistake just sold for over $10,000. And here's the twist, you could be holding one right now. The 1979 D quarter, a common coin with rare secrets. The 1979 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most active U.S. mints. Over 489 million of these quarters were produced, so yes, they're extremely common in circulation. But like many high-volume mintings, a handful of coins left the mint floor with serious flaws. And it's those errors that now bring huge value in the collector's market. The most valuable 1979 D quarter errors: off-center strike, up to $2,000. Double die obverse, DDO, $1,000 to $3,500 plus. Struck on the wrong planchet, $5,000 to $10,000 plus. Broad strike error, $500 to $1,500. Clipped planchet, $300 to $900. Double struck errors, $800 to $2,000 plus. Real auction sales. The proof is in the price. What to do if you find a 1979 D-era quarter. Don't clean the coin. This instantly lowers its value. Don't assume it's fake. Confirm with experts first. Weigh it immediately. Inspect it under magnification. Compare it to a known standard 1979 D quarter. Submit to a grading service, PCGS, NGC, NX. List it for auction or take it to a coin show. High-grade non-error 1979 D quarters can also be valuable. Even non-error coins can fetch hundreds of dollars if they're in mint condition. Example, a 1979 D Washington quarter graded MS68 by PCGS sold for $1,495. Why? These coins are hard to find in pristine condition due to the weak strike quality of the late 1970s. The most rare and valuable 1976 bicentennial quarter dollar era coins, featuring exciting history, big auction values ranging from $1,000 to over $50,000, and a high-energy introduction to grab and hold your viewers' attention from start to finish. A quarter worth 25 cents. Not this one. This bicentennial quarter just sold for over $50,000. And there could be more hiding in your pocket change. The 1976 bicentennial quarter. What makes it special? A coin for a nation's birthday. To celebrate the United States bicentennial, the U.S. Mint released a special quarter featuring, obverse, George Washington, same as always. Reverse, Drummer Boy design by Jack L. AHR. Dual date, 1776 to 1976, instead of the standard single year. Over 1.6 billion were minted between 1975 and 1976. So they're common, but a few were minted with serious errors, the most valuable bicentennial quarter errors. Let's break down the error coins that have fetched thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars at auction. Struck on a silver planchet, $10,000 to $20,000 plus. Double die obverse, DDO, up to $7,000. Off-center strike, $750 to $2,500 plus. Struck on the wrong planchet, $5,000 to $50,000 plus. Multiple strike/double strike errors, up to $3,000. Clipped planchet error, $500 to $1,200. Broad strike error, $300 to $800. Real auction sales, error type auction price grading company silver planchet MS67 $13, 500 PCGS struck on 1 cent planchet $12,000 NGC double die obverse, DDO, $6, 800 PCGS off, center, 40%, $1, 560 ANACS struck on dime planchet $14. 500 NGC silver dollar planchet error $50,000 plus PCGS. Where to look for rare bicentennial quarters? Don't assume these are only in collector hands, they still turn up in the wild. Search, old coin jars from the 70s to 90s. Bank quarter rolls, estate sales and flea markets. Coin shows, misidentified or undervalued. Pocket change. What to do if you find one? Don't clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value. Even a rare coin becomes common if damaged. Get a second opinion. Post clear pics to forums like Coin Community Forum, Reddit's r/coins, Facebook coin groups. Certify the coin. Use trusted third-party grading services, PCGS, NGC, NX. Sell smart. Auction with heritage, Stax Bowers, or great collections for top dollar. High-grade non-error bicentennial quarters can be valuable too. Even without errors, high-grade examples can be worth hundreds. MS-67 or MS-68 bicentennial quarters can sell for $300 to $1,500 plus. Deep cameo proofs, S-Mint, in PR70 DCAM fetch $800 to $2,000 plus. The 1983 P-Error Washington Quarter Dollar, featuring its fascinating minting history, error types, and real auction prices reaching $1,000, $5,000, and even $15,000 plus. The intro is crafted to immediately hook your audience, keeping them engaged to the end. A single 1983 P Washington Quarter, just 25 cents, sold for over $15,000 at auction. That's not a typo. And there could be one sitting in your change jar right now. History of the 1983 P quarter. At first glance, the 1983 P Washington quarter looks like any other. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with a mintage of over 673 million coins. That's a lot of quarters, so you'd assume they're worthless, right? What makes 1983 so unique is that it was, during the height of post-strike coin shortages. After the U.S. Mint eliminated mint sets in 1982 and 1983, the most valuable 1983 P quarter errors. Let's break down the error types that can turn your pocket change into serious profit. Spitting Eagle error, $1,000 to $2,500. Struck on wrong planchet, e.g. penny or dime, up to $5,000 plus. Double die obverse, DDO, $2,000 to $6,000. Double struck or off-center errors, $1,500 to $3,500. Broad strike and clipped planchet errors, $800 to $2,000. Real auction prices that stunned collectors, error type highest auction price grading company struck on 1 cent planchet $4, 830 NGC double die obverse, DDO, $5, 875 PCGS, Spitting Eagle, MS66 $1, 527 NGC off, center strike $2, 150 PCGS broad strike error $1, 005 ANACS major die break $800 raw. But here's the king of them all. 1983 PMS 65 quarter with exceptional strike, sold for $15,862.50. This wasn't even an error coin, it was an example of extremely high grade and strike quality. Why so much? In 1983, coins were struck poorly due to worn dies. Mint sets weren't made that year, so collectors couldn't get pristine examples. That makes top condition business strikes from 1983 extremely rare. Tools to detect valuable 1983 P quarters. If you're ready to hunt down one of these high-value coins, here's what you need: essential tools, digital gram scale, to check for wrong planchets. 10x magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Good lighting, natural or LED. Tip: compare your 1983 P quarter with a standard one, look for shape, luster, and weight differences. Key signs your 1983 P quarter is valuable. Unusual surface defects. Look closer, it may be a die break or cut. Odd weight or color. Possible wrong planchet. Strange doubling. Might be a DDO. Wide shape or missing edge reads. Likely a broad strike. Crescent-shaped clip. Clipped planchet. Rule of thumb: anything that looks off on a 1983 P quarter is worth a second look. What if I told you that one simple coin in your pocket change, an ordinary-looking 1966 Washington quarter, could be hiding a secret so rare? It's worth not just hundreds or thousands, but up to $50,000. That's right. Today, we're diving deep into the world of mysterious minting errors, government decisions that shook the coin industry, and hidden treasures from 1966 that can turn your casual coin collection into a goldmine. History. To understand why certain 1966 quarters are so valuable, we have to step back in time to one of the most disruptive moments in U.S. coinage history. Counterclockwise arrows button: the silver crisis and a major change in 1965. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver. But by the early 1960s, silver prices were rising rapidly. People started hoarding coins, fearing the government would remove silver from circulating coinage. The most valuable 1966 quarter errors. Let's explore the most valuable and jaw-dropping errors that have surfaced from the 1966 Washington quarter, and how these minting mistakes now fetch $1,000 to $50,000 plus at auctions. The 1966 silver planchet error. A well-preserved 1966 quarter struck on a silver planchet has sold for $10,000 to $15,000 in auctions. An uncirculated example with full luster, Easily $30,000 to $50,000 plus depending on condition and certification. Off-center strike errors. But a 50% off-center with visible date can hit $2,000 or more. Double-struck quarters. High-grade double-struck 1966 quarters can sell for $1,500 to $2,500, especially when both strikes are clearly visible. Transitional errors. Wrong planchet. These are extremely rare, but when authenticated, they sell for $5,000 to $10,000 or more. Auction records and real-life examples. Let's look at real auction results that prove the massive value of rare 1966 era quarters. 1966 silver quarter, sold for $12,600. Graded 58 Australian dollars by NGC. Confirmed struck on a 90% silver planchet. Sold at Heritage Auctions in 2022.1966 off-center strike. Sold for $2,150. 60% off-center. PCGS MS64. Extremely rare with full date visible. Double struck quarter, $1,750. 2 complete strikes, slightly misaligned. Sold via Stax Bowers in 2023. These aren't hypotheticals, they're real sales, and they prove that 1966 quarters can fetch life-changing money. The most rare 1967 era Washington quarter dollar, including its history, valuable minting errors, and jaw-dropping values that range from $1,000 to even $50,000. The introduction is crafted to grab attention immediately and keep viewers engaged until the very end. You heard that right. Buried in jars, drawers, and forgotten piggy banks across America lies a rare breed of quarter from 1967, coins that were never meant to exist, but slipped past the watchful eyes of a U.S. mint. Coins with minting mistakes so rare, they now command thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands, of dollars at auction. 1967, a transitional year in U.S. coinage history. To understand why 1967 Washington quarters can be so valuable, we have to go back to the coin chaos of the 1960s. The silver crisis fallout. In 1964, quarters were still made of 90% silver. But with the price of silver rising fast, people started hoarding coins. By 1965, the U.S. Mint removed silver from quarters entirely, replacing it with copper-nickel-clad metal. From 1965 to 1967, the Mint suspended all mint marks on quarters, dimes, and half dollars to discourage hoarding. The most valuable 1967-era quarters. Let's dive into the juiciest part, the rare errors that have made 1967 quarters worth up to $50,000. 1967 quarter on a silver planchet, up to $48,000. 1967 off-center strike error, up to $2,500. Double-struck quarters, up to $3,000. Broad strike error, $500 to $1,500. Wrong planchet errors, $2,000 to $10,000. Real auction sales that prove the value, 1967 quarter on silver planchet, $4,800. Graded 55 Australian dollars by PCGS. Sold in 2022 by Heritage. Off-center strike, $2,150. 55% off-center strike. Graded MS64. Sold by Stax Bowers. Double struck, $1,700. Visible doubling on both sides. High grade and certified by NGC. Struck on 1 cent planchet, $9,200. Red copper color, smaller diameter. Huge demand due to how unusual it looks. The most rare and valuable 1973 D-era Washington quarter dollar, including its history, minting mistakes, and how some examples have sold for $1,000, $10,000, or even $30,000 plus at auction. The introduction is designed to grab attention immediately and keep viewers engaged through storytelling, real value examples, and clear coin collecting tips. But rare and valuable 1973 D-era quarters do exist. And not only have they shocked the coin collecting world, they're still out there, waiting to be discovered by someone like you. Historical. Before diving into the errors, let's explore why 1973 was such a pivotal year for quarters. The basics, minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark. Composition, copper-nickel clad over a pure copper core. Weight, 5.67 grams. The hidden gem. But thanks to minting machinery errors, a handful of 1973 D quarters were struck with bizarre and valuable flaws. Top rare and valuable 1973 D quarter errors. Let's break down the most sought-after errors and how much each can be worth. Wrong planchet, $5,000 to $30,000 plus. Double struck error. Value, common double strikes, $500 to $1,000. Dramatic double strikes with full separation, $2,500 to $4,000. Off-center strike. Value, 40% to 60% off-center with visible date, $1,000 to $2,000. Broad strike errors, $300 to $1,500. Clipped planchet error. Value, minor clip, $100 to $300. Dramatic clip with visible date, $800 to $1,200. Transitional error struck on silver $10,000 to $25,000. Real auction sales that prove the value. Let's look at some real-world examples of valuable 1973 D quarters. Quarter on cent planchet, $9,200. Smaller, reddish tone. Certified by PCGS. Sold in 2021. Double struck in collar, $3,800. MS65 grade. 2 visible strikes, both off-center. Verified by NGC. 60% off-center, $1,750. Strong luster. Date still visible. Dramatic strike made it a showpiece. Broad strike with die crack, $1,250. Error plus die crack combo increased value. Almost perfectly centered. The most rare and valuable 1973 Washington $quarter error coins, including exciting auction examples, minting history, and coin values ranging from $1,000 to $10,000 or even $25,000 plus. The introduction is crafted to hook viewers from the first seconds and keep them engaged until the end. Right now, in coin collections, bank rolls, even forgotten piggy banks, there are rare 1973 Washington quarters worth thousands of dollars. These aren't just coins. They're secret jackpots in disguise. Historical, what makes the 1973 quarter unique? Part of the Washington quarter series, first introduced in 1932. In 1973, quarters were struck at 3 mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, D mint mark. San Francisco, S mint mark, proof coins only. Drastic design changes. Obverse, George Washington's bust. Most valuable 1973 quarter error coins. Now we'll reveal the most valuable error varieties that collectors are dying to find, because they're incredibly rare, highly valuable, and often misunderstood or overlooked. Struck on the wrong planchet, $5,000 to $25,000 plus. Double struck error, $1,000 to $5,000. Off-center strike, $500 to $2,000 plus. Broad strike error, $300 to $1,500. Clipped planchet error, up to $1,200. Transitional error or experimental planchet, up to $20,000 to $30,000 plus. Real auction that proved the value, $25,000. Wrong planchet on silver blank, NGC -58 Australian dollars. Struck on a leftover silver planchet. Verified by NGC. Sold at Heritage Auctions. $9,200. Copper planchet strike. PCGS MS64. Misstruck on a 1-cent planchet. Visible date and nearly perfect condition. $3,850. Double struck with rotation. First strike was centered, second was off by 30 degrees. Clear duplication of reverse design. $1,875. 55% off-center with date. Full date visible. Amazing visual appeal.